Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Peteman Reviews. Today we have the Generation 1 Autobot Silverstreak. This is the commemorative edition version. The differences between the commemorative edition and the original edition are negligible. The shoulder cannons are probably, well even that's not really a change in that they don't fire, they just hold the weapon. However, as far as I'm aware, they never did fire before either. They just held the weapon, and certainly there's no sign of there ever being a firing mechanism on here. So yeah, there's very little difference, if any. So Silverstreak is yet another variant on the Prowl model. Silverstreak's probably the least well known of all of these guys in that I don't really ever recall seeing him in the cartoon or the comics very much either. You had Bluestreak, who was briefly in it. You had Smokescream, who was the more well-known variant, and of course you had Prowl himself as the original variant, or the original toy. Silverstreak, less so. So it's slightly odd that they chose to make Silverstreak the release for the commemorative series and not Bluestreak. Maybe they would have done Bluestreak in time, but even so, you'd think you'd do Bluestreak first and then Silverstreak, or maybe this was just to encourage people to buy it. It just seems slightly odd, but never mind. In terms of transformation, it's identical pretty much to Prowl, and it's pretty identical to, remember we did Jazz, it's pretty much identical. There's some slight changes, particularly around the legs swivelling around, but otherwise it's a very standard model. It works, very standard process, it works well, but it's very noticeable that they share a common ancestry. So on to the model, which is a Nissan or a Datsun. It looks pretty good. Old-fashioned, it has to be said, but that is just partially it's from based in the car, which looks kind of old-fashioned too. Wheels are quite nice. D10's all right. I guess because he's Silverstreak, it's obviously silver. It looks a little bit dull. You've got a little bit of chrome on the wheels, on the windscreen here, but otherwise it's just a little bit dull colouring. When we see Smokescreen or even Prowl for that matter, there's a little bit more dynamic going on there, a little bit more colour scheme. Silverstreak just a little bit dull, but never mind. That's just the colour scheme. Okay, so transformation. You need to make sure this comes out here. Open the doors. You don't have to do it, but it just makes the transformation a bit easier. So the legs pop out like that. This part here, you can see with the stickers on it, it does just pop up like that. You then just rotate the waist, pop it back down there, and those pop out, and there we are. That is Silverstreak's rear, or rather his feet. Now his feet do actually stand on the wheels, so if you balance right, you could actually move him around. That said, the way this works, it is intended just to rest like that. Indeed, as you can see, that's exactly what it does. And with the weight of the bonnet, which forms the chest, it does naturally go forwards, so it doesn't roll and overbalance. Now with the hands, again, they're fairly standard for the cars like this. They are a little bit fragile, so you do just have to be a little bit careful, particularly once you start to get the different coloured plastics like Silverstreak. It does just ever so slightly make it a bit more likely to break, so you just have to be a little bit careful with those. And then, as you can see, we then flip the whole lot down here, so that's produced to the chest, and then that pops up to produce the head. And then we just rotate the arms again. I was going to sit this down for this. Rotate the arms again, like so, and like so. And there we are. We're pretty much there for Silverstreak. Now you could leave him just like this. I guess you need to give him a gun. Let's give him a gun. I've noticed a lot of my Transformers where you put the guns in, I put them in the left hand. That's partially because they've usually got some form of weapon or something elsewhere. But they're not all on the left, but yeah, you could put a variant. So you could leave Silverstreak as he is, like that, and that's transformed. He does look very, very similar to Prowl, even there's very little difference with the head. So the silver is quite quite a delicate change. It's not such a radical change as with the Smokescreen, for example, where there's the red and the blue, which makes him feel a bit more of a different colour. The silver and the white of Prowl, quite similar in the way they look, so he could easily be mistaken for Prowl, which is why we are going to add on to the missiles. These, you can just see here, there's a hole in his head. I know, doesn't sound good, but that's where the missiles just lock in. They just sit there. And the reason we're doing that, we didn't do it on Prowl. The reason we don't do it on Prowl is because it differentiates the characters. And I know the latest iterations of Prowl in the IDW comics do have it with the missiles. However, classic Prowl never has. And that was purely done just to make sure that he looked a little bit more visually different. So that's why we're doing it with Silverstreak. And it's slightly odd in that it's red, the missile launchers. I know his legs are red, and there's a little hint of red here. But given that he's called Silverstreak and his coloration is silver, I kind of expect these to be silver as well. But they're not. They're quite a bright red as well. And that's always a little bit odd. That's not necessarily bad. It works, but you kind of wonder, would they have worked better by swapping them from Smokescreen? Well, let's just have a look. So if we we'll just do one of them and just see what we think. So that means that Smokescreen now has a red. So it's got red on red. Looks alright, doesn't it? Silverstreak, whoops. If you move the legs together, he instantly falls over. That's the only thing pulling them out like that keeps it upright. Silver on white. Do you know what? That looks alright, doesn't it? So, a little bit surprised that they didn't swap the round to give Smokescreen the red and Silverstreak the white. But it is what it is. And while you can play around with them if you wish to, I'm not about to, because there's no real point. But it just makes me a little bit curious as to why they didn't do that. In terms of size, he's not particularly tall for his size, but then again, we compare him with someone like Kickback. I know Kickback's not meant to be a tall guy anyway, and it's just as well because he sure as heck isn't. And even someone like Spinister. Spinister's one of the smaller target masters. He's a little bit taller than Silverstreak, but not much. And Silverstreak's a far more detailed robot. That's so much better in terms of both transformation, in terms of movement and everything, compared to someone like Spinister. It's a real shame, really. I know that Spinister came out more towards the end of the run, and there were, recessions, there was energy crisis, there was cost of plastic, popularity had waned. And to be fair to Silverstreak, he was based on a toy that already existed, so Hasbro didn't have to pay for brand new tooling, they already got that. Whereas Silverstreak, not only did they have to produce, Spinister, not only did they have to produce the toys, they also had to pay for brand new tooling in a time when Transformers wasn't popular as it was before. But even so, given that this is a Wave 2 by this point toy, which is based on a Wave 1 toy, the Wave 1 toy is superior, isn't it? As a purchase, yeah, I know he's just yet another Prowl clone. Then again, so are the Seekers, Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywalker, but you'd buy them separately, wouldn't you? Why would you buy him separately as well? Yes, he's not the most well-known character, not particularly unique, but it's a good toy. It looks good, both in car mode and robot mode. Yes, it suffers from all the limitations of nearly the entire G1 range, which is very static leg movement, but he's got good arm movement. They're a little bit fragile, but it's good arm movement for him. Go on, pick him up. I'm not sure about getting the original version over the commemorative edition. There's not much difference between them. Commemorative edition's probably cheaper, but it depends what's available at the time, doesn't it? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please do leave any comments below, click on the other links and subscribe, and we'll see you on some more videos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.